So I've been seeing a lot of posts like this on my feed recently. Posts saying things like the best thing you can do to help deal with the national crisis right now is to work on yourself. And sometimes that start with yourself advice is really wise. But other times it kind of feels like privilege wrapped in fancy spirituality, and it kind of makes me cringe when I hear it. So here's how I tell the difference between when that's wise and when that's an excuse. So first of all, to their credit, I get what posts like this are pushing back against. I have gone through seasons where I have cared deeply about a particular cause, and I've spoken out or showed up at protests, but my mind was so reactive and so mired in guilt and judgment that I'm sure I did harm in the process. Sure, I showed up, but I did it in a way that I'm sure spread reactive hatred, that sparked this equal opposite energy, and I'm not sure I walked away having done net good. Ultimately, it left me anxious and angry and pretty burnt out. But on the other side, there's also this bypassing, this avoidance. It feels discomfort when it comes to actually engaging in resistance. And so it uses spirituality to justify not actually showing up. And that kind of spirituality functions to remove us from the suffering of the world rather than to help us engage and transform it. So that's no good either. So here's an approach that feels healthier to me. Ram Dass used to teach that wherever we're experiencing a sense of attachment or aversion, that's our cue that there is work to be done. So what if we started there? We see a headline about ICE abusing its power and we feel a strong sense of aversion. Pause for a second. Investigate. That aversion is a messenger. So what is the message? If it's signaling that there's a boundary that's been crossed and there's injustice that needs to be interrupted, that's beautiful. Go forth and do that. If it's a rush of hatred and dehumanizing judgment towards the enemy, maybe that's where we take a beat. Investigate that further, because acting from that place will create a kind of energy that may well undercut the kind of work that we're trying to do to begin with. That's when it might be helpful to pause and engage in some understanding exercise. And to be clear, this isn't about excusing anyone or taking accountability off the table. This is about how we show up and stay effective, about dealing with the hate in our own minds before we perpetuate it in the struggle. The Buddha used to teach that skillful action comes from skillful view and skillful thinking. But we absolutely need both. A spirituality that bypasses the suffering and takes us out of the struggle serves no one. But neither does a reactive, judgment-based spirituality that burns us out and corrodes us from the inside, that just drives opposition deeper into their certainty, into the role they're playing. If we can find a middle way, though, one that inspires action checked by emotional health, I think that's where we find our superpower.